Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our weekend program, our weekly program where we speak with the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, sports administrators, just about everyone involved in sports. As we indicated, today on this weekend's program, we'll be speaking with Mr. Ray Roberts. He is a veteran and most esteemed sports journalist and commentator. Our co-host, Rudy and Sylvan, is in Toronto. That will join us for a few minutes. And we'll be speaking about a number of issues. As you know, Ray has been writing quite a bit on, on a number of issues. And we haven't had Ray in probably the last, year or so. And certainly we'll have a lot to catch up on, whether it's cricket, whether it's football, whether it's the state of our facilities, And Ray has been one who has been advocating for a return to what we deem as community sports grassroots, because he says the problems we are facing with the development of sports, not just in Grenada, but in the Caribbean as a whole, especially as it relates to cricket and other sporting events, has to do specifically with the lack thereof of grassroots program. And that's one of the things that Ray has been advocating for, and he will join us as well to speak about that. So we have Ray, we have Rudy, and we have quite a few of them. Well, Ray and Rudy in particular, but Ray is in St. George's. I hope. I know he likes to go all over the place, so he's somewhere around. So he'll join us. And then Rudy is in Toronto. But as indicated, he's one who has been writing quite a bit and expressing his views on the issues we have been having with sports. And again, I'm saying not just Grenada, but it's reflected throughout the region. Whether it's cricket, whether it's football, whether it's netball, it has to do, as he says, with us, the lack of the basics, the lack of community sports, the lack of grassroots. And he believes that we should place more emphasis on grassroots sports. So let me say welcome to Ray. Ray, thank you for joining us, and it's always a pleasure having you on our program. And as I indicated, it has been quite a while now you haven't been with us, but so there's quite a lot to catch up on, Ray. So how things are going?
Well, it's a beautiful day, I would say, here in St. George's. I'm going to be heading for Labrie. You're correct about that. I'm going to Labrie.
I know that.
They have a grassroots table tennis event up there, so I'm going to lend some support, and then I'm going to do my usual thing in Tantine, and maybe take a bit of Premier League match. I think Rangers playing. I'm not too sure, but I think Rangers playing at the stadium today. But otherwise, I would say life is great.
Yeah, Ray, just to tag on to that, I'm really glad to know that you're going to Labrie for table tennis, because normally we know PW Center as a home of table tennis, or probably the GBSS auditorium. But it appears now that it's good. Well, we know sometimes in Goa, for example, but it's glad to see that a bit of outreach for table tennis.
Yes, and there's quite a great demand. I think the problem we face is that we are all focused on the traditional sports and not remembering that there are people who are never going to be a track athlete, never going to be a footballer, never going to be a cricketer. They may be just good at indoor games. I don't think a lot of emphasis is placed on, these indoor games, badminton, table tennis. I think we all carried away with that everybody's going to be a track star. Everybody's going to be Kirani James. So yesterday I spoke to a guy from Bellevue. There's a community center there, lovely playing field there. And he also wants to start something there. And we promised to get him a table there. And there are several other communities. In fact, this year we distributed about 10 to 12 boats to schools. Guava is really the main center of table tennis in Grenada. That's the entire national team is from Guava. So that tells you, there's grassroots participation and support and parental involvement too. So I would hope that the government or the Ministry of Sports and those who are in charge, those who have the capacity to invest, would see these events as worthwhile events.
Yeah.
In fact, one of our players, before you go, one of our players, Marquez, Cedric Marquez, it's a bit late, but he got accepted to one of the best table tennis schools in Europe. That's where most of the top Europeans go and learn the basic and develop their game. But the problem we had, we couldn't find that scholarship from the Olympic section. It's too late. It was really a story revealed too late. Hopefully he can get in at some stage, but he plays well and he has a bit of an ability. I mean, and the guy, they showed interest. They spoke to myself. They spoke to Vida. So it was just not a venture that, you know, you're pie in the sky. He has some talent. I mean,
Right.
he has some talent. Whether he can develop into a Caribbean class or world class, it is another story. But he certainly has tremendous athleticism.
Right. Oh my. So okay. So Hazel is saying, great seeing you, Mr. Ray Roberts. That's Hazel Buckles,
Right.
you know, as Hazel and Regis. And she says,
Yes.
yes, Cedric Marquez is someone to look out for. So it just seems as if some people are he is on the horizon. But Ray, as a member of the Grenada Paralympic Committee, I saw your message or your email that has to do with para table tennis, for example, Ray. And I want probably a minute or two for you to just talk about because it appears that we have people who can participate, but there seems to be a sort of stigma, a sort of fear of participating, Ray. How do you think we can help them to get over these things, Ray? These obstacles, these
Well,
challenges?
again, we had Aishona who was to. Okay. Well, Aishona Charles went to. She was the icebreaker in 2018. Went to the Desert Games in Arizona. That's a Grand Prix for para athletes, and that was the first international event. That was the first time we participated in any event with a para athlete outside of Grenada. And she came within. She won the gold medal. In fact, she defeated one of the leading competitors from Mexico. So she didn't get, let's call it this way, a freebie. She performed, and she then participated. She didn't make. She missed the qualification for the Grand Prix in Doha, but they were so impressed with her that she moved on to Doha, and she was one of the few Caribbean athletes there. This
I think we may have just lost Ray's audio. I'm seeing him, but we may have just lost his audio for a while. As you know, Ray indicated that he is actually mobile. He's on his way to table tennis in Laborie. So he may be just in and out of, connection. But as soon as we reconnect with Ray, we'll have him back up again. But yes, so we just lost him there for a while. But it's interesting because he was talking about the para table tennis, para athletes in particular, because they're, actually, there's a para Olympics. We have we have the Olympic Games next in Paris, Rudian, and then we have the Paralympics. And I think he's making a point that most times we seem to forget, even as he made reference to table tennis, for example. Grenada has been participating in a number of regional table tennis, but sometimes a lot of the focus and a lot of the hooray is on the traditional
events, track and field, soccer.
Yeah.
And we have to kind of branch out from that mindset, because there's a lot of the young ones out there who is interested in those type of sports, and that's why he's saying he has. And I also come back again where we talk about he has to start building with the parish councils, and then the parish council got to truly get involved in a lot of those grassroots in those games. Like the netball, they don't talk about it much unless they're going away. So you have that happening, right? So you got to have those things talk about and he has to start building with the parish councils. You said in St. George, in St. John's, they are the mecca of of table tennis. But you have to be able to start spreading it across the Caribbean as far as Grenada.
Mhm. Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. And it's not just, I just mentioned para table tennis, but there's also para swimming.
Yeah,
There is para shooting, sitting
yeah,
volleyball.
yeah.
So even for those
There's
who
a
are
lot. Basketball.
physically
There's
right,
even basketball. Yeah, wheelchair
and
basketball. Yeah, yeah,
so those who are physically challenged, um, they can get to participate. Okay,
yeah,
in as far as the Olympics concerned, right?
yeah,
As you say, there's a wheelchair basketball, and
yeah.
by the way, wheelchair basketball is a big sport, right?
It's huge.
It's
It's
yeah,
huge. Yeah,
and it
yeah,
gathers a lot of television coverage, for example.
yeah.
Then
Definitely.
then
Yeah,
as I saw there too, the sitting volleyball, right?
yeah.
Um,
The archery
there,
is a big one too. Archery
right?
is such a big one too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So there's the para swimming, there's the sitting volleyball. You said the wheelchair. There I see there's shooting as well.
yeah,
Standing or sitting, in a wheelchair or in a chair. So a number of activities for the physically
yeah.
challenged, and is just changing that mindset. And that's really indicated that most times we kind of sway towards just the traditional sports and forget whether it's volleyball, whether it's, badminton, and as we indicated, the para sports. Ray, I apologize to our viewers because I told them that if they missed the introduction, that you basically on your way to table tennis. So we might be getting you in and out at times. But you were making the point, Ray, about getting our physically challenged athletes, well, in this case, people who are physically challenged, to overcome that fear, overcome that stigma, and being able to participate in sports.
Well, I think we are getting there because, as you would have seen, the 15-year-old J.W. Fletcher student did pretty well, won a bronze at the Commonwealth Games.
Right.
Um, his opponents were all Europeans and Africans,
Yeah.
and they were people who were, I may say, seasoned competitors because we are just starting. We are just at the embryonic stage. I mean, so to have done that, I think it sends a message to other physically challenged persons that if you do the work, you can be rewarded. Apart from that, we are getting some support from the International Paralympics Committee. We have just purchased some equipment for bocce. We have also purchased some javelin and shot put and discus. And we have a group of people who are working with some of the athletes. Bassanio Nicholas is doing a bit. Um, Juma Bain in Grenville is doing a bit. There's a young lady, Keisha Philip Franklin, and many others. We have the support of Mrs. Michelle Braffett, who used to be the principal of the School for the Deaf. She's now in the Ministry of Education, and Shade Noel, and quite a few people are getting involved. And in fact, the schools for special education, so many of them have para athletes because you know how we make a decision in Grenada that somebody's a special ed. You may be a hard learner and whatever, and you end up there. So there are students there. So we have I would say we have the basis on which we can build. And those of us who are in it, well, I'm a committed, and the group that I've been with, we have been together for about 5, 6 years. So we have made some headways. Not enough. We have a cyclist who is going to the Pan American Games. He I can't pronounce the word now, but in any case, it's a neurological challenge he has. But he's good because he competes with the able body,
Right.
and he competes in triathlon. So he is going as well as 400 meters. Run runner is going. So these two are going to be there. And fortunately, we don't have to look for all the funds because you get, I think, 60% somewhere around there from the Pan American Games. So we are going to be there, God willing. So that, again, is another incentive for other para athletes who are in the secondary schools, I may tell you. And nearly all the secondary schools got people who are physically challenged. So it is for the games teachers, the coaches, and others to appreciate that those of us who are physically challenged do have an outlet, and they must help us to make the most of it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Ray, I hope we continue with that connection, that good connection, because it's important now. Because I know, we in the midst now of ICC World Cup, and for the first time in as many years, there isn't a West Indies participating in the grand finale of cricket. You are not surprised because you have been saying that for many years, Ray. The writing has been on the wall that unless we go back to the village, the grassroots program that will feed in to our parish, will feed into our national, feed into our sub-regional, our territorial cricket, and ultimately West Indies cricket, will we just be spinning top in mud. Ray, just share your views on the whole disappointment. Well, I'm saying disappointment in umbrella for West Indies fans in particular. You're not disappointed per se because you saw the writing on the wall. But share your views, Ray, on West Indies unable to be in the finale of international cricket and what you think we have done wrong and what you think we should be doing right.
Well, Mike, I think we could start with the loud noise we're hearing that Grenada didn't apply for matches in the T20 cricket. 2007, we were a host. I'm not hearing anybody making a loud cry for domestic cricket or school cricket to be reignited. So that tells you that we as a people, our interest is in seeing the best players and not trying to unearth players who could be among the best players. So that tells a story about us. And I am arguing that I agree with the government or the Minister of Sports. Why are you applying for something really and truly? That money should be invested in resuscitating school cricket, village cricket. As I tell people, I may have told you that story already. In 1975, St. Lucia beat Grenada, and they did not beat Grenada in cricket for a very long time. So Eric Matthew called a meeting of all cricketers and said, look, we have to have a rebirth. He sponsored a cricket tournament. It might be politics, but 136 teams from across the country participated. Parliamentarians were made to get their village into teams. Whatever you may say about it, but I could tell you, I got to know Grenada via that process. And many cricketers emerged into Dauntless and Atoms and GCC from that exercise. So again, I'm saying to us, if we don't see West Indies cricket as a beginning in Grenada, St. Lucia, Dominica, I mean, there's no way you could find players elsewhere. There's nowhere you could find players to represent the West Indies other than from each participating country in the Caribbean in the West Indies tournament. Might just look at the just concluded Windward Islands 50 over tournament. Dominica ended up winning a match, but Dominica didn't pass. How many times? I doubt they passed 200 runs in any of the games they played.
Yeah.
Now, this is supposed to be a tournament where batsmen are supposed to be scoring and doing well. I think there was just one score of 300. I looked at the St. Kitts, Nevis, the Leeward Islands. Again, the scores are small. One man got a century. So we got to pay attention to domestic cricket. Kirani and all the other Caribbean athletes, the St. Lucian athlete that is now making a name for herself in St. Lucia. It all started with grassroots program. And I'm saying cricket in the West Indies can flourish. One final bit. In Grenada, we had people aspiring to be a West Hall. Everybody was a fast bowler. Everybody wanted to bowl 100 miles per hour. You cannot find anybody in the windwards that could bowl 95 miles, as they call it now, 100 and something kings. Everybody is 120, 130, 140. So we're really in trouble. I mean, we really accept the Antiguan boy who borders 90 and 85 and so forth. There isn't a compatible bowler that you can say fire from both ends. So I think, Mike, we have to find a way of refocusing on what is local and building that, and then we'll begin to see stars emerge. But as it is now, I don't see if they have a next World Cup. West Indies go qualify. How much? Sri Lanka? Somebody made what? South Africa? 425?
Yeah. South Africa over Sri Lanka. Yeah, world record. Right. So, but part of the problem, Ray, the challenge, and I'm just throwing that out there because you wrote about it to an extent, has to do with facilities as well. The availability of facilities, the maintenance of facilities. I'm not sure if that is the reason, but do you think that is a major challenge for grassroots programs?
Well, Mike, the biggest challenge is that you don't have workers. You know, I have respect for this sports policy, but I tell you, come to Grenada and go into Antine and speak to 10 people who are in Antine. They don't know about it. So you don't have people marketing this thing. Now, Wagiti has become a famous name in sports. I don't know what is his marketing tool, but that's what I'm talking about. If you're going to develop something, a child in primary school must be able to get that message to take to his or her parent. We're not seeing that. I mean, yesterday I was talking to a young man from Grand Roy, and he was telling me he's trying to organize a grassroots group, cricket and football. And up to now, we can't get more than half a dozen persons to come together. So that's, to me, what is missing. We need, somebody said it yesterday in a program, we need to begin to teach primary and pre-primary kids that organization at the community level is important. Because what we have bought into, which it makes no sense, absolutely no sense, this franchise thing, that's from America. So the best players, you cream them off and they make one team. How is that helping sport? What used to make sports beautiful in Grenada is Queen's Park Rangers, is River Road, Gov is Gov, Hurricane is Hurricane, and Hard Rock is Hard Rock St. Patrick. But when you take the best players and you put them in one group, well, I mean, it is obviously you're going to win the tournament without much work. So that's what I'm saying. There has to be a way to recreate the appreciation of village competition and people. Yes, you may be a professional and you don't want to get involved because you won't give a contribution, but that is not going to do it. We need your professional skills to help build community, the cricket club, the football club. And that is good too, because juvenile delinquency, I mean, I've seen some things on posts. Every week now there's a fight, and all the fights are girls. I mean, when I went to school, boys fighting is a long time ago. But everything I see now is 2 girls fighting, 3 girls fighting. So it looks like women now are fighters. I mean, I saw one in front of high school, what day it was. Richie trying to park. I mean, in the days when somebody of that stature, say stop, you stop. It's more than fighting. So we have to find ways to cool the temper. And while counseling and so may be good, and it is good, but we must find nurseries after school that these people, yes, the debating thing that Mike, during our time we pioneered is on. But we need to see a lot more. In GBSS, I remember, in fact, Flying Turkey, always remember that. I used to come to the hostel every day and play. The hostel no longer there, but the auditorium is empty, only chairs. What has happened to badminton? What has happened to table tennis? What has happened to chess? So schools got to get back. Well, not schools alone, but the games teachers, the Ministry of Sports, Physical Education, whoever they are, we got to take at least greater interest in grassroots sports, and that is what is going to make us a different group.
Yeah, Rudian?
Yes, Mr. Ray, how you doing? Definitely, I concur with everything that you're saying. I mean, I had a conversation just yesterday about the exact same thing that you're talking about with somebody home. And we talk about local football in McDonald College Ground was one of the best in Grenada. Not the best, but one of the best. And now there is nothing. He also mentioned, he said, even though we need to do high jump from Mali past here to the whole of Sotes, you find high jumpers because there was a facility. Now you don't have no facility. You know, the McGraw College ground where we used to go is fenced around. The grass is growing. They don't play no more, nothing on it. So those things have to change. We got to get back to the grassroots because the grassroots is the foundation. And we talk about that over and over, and we talk about it a lot. We got to get back to the foundation of sporting in Grenada, the foundation. You know, even going back with fishing, you know, they still have all those things in them. Fishing competition, they still have all these things in them. They don't have those things anymore. You know, so we got to get back to the foundation of what built Grenada to where we lose it because we lost it somewhere. It was lost somewhere. I don't know if it's in the early 90s, I don't know if it's in the 20s, but it was lost somewhere in there. And it's not the technology. It is not the technology. It's lost because there is no. Let me add this. In St. Patrick's, there is no clubs. They don't have a track and field club. It's how you guess what I'm saying? When I was around, we had a club. We had training going on. We constantly was moving, constantly doing stuff. So those are the things that have to come back. These are the things we have to come back and build it. So the kids now go home to the technology because there is nothing for them. And we keep blaming them and saying, oh, it's the technology. It's not the technology. It's that there is nothing for them to do. One more thing. Before, my grandmother could have just sent me down to the park. And I would just go down to the park. And sometimes I don't even ask. I just go. Today, parents is there. Parents making sure that the kids are there because the time we're living in now is the trust of somebody that you don't know to coach your kid, especially with young girls. And even if you know them, you still got to be careful. So you find out when parents now is getting involved, which is good, but are they getting involved enough? You know, so we have to get back into the grassroots. That foundation is what's lacking and what's missing in Grenada. And if we don't, we're going to lose because we're thinking about the stars, like you said. That's all we want, the stars. And so if we don't get it together, we lose out. We cannot have an all-star football team. We cannot have an all-star netball team. You know, it's not going to work because the same team is going to keep winning and winning and winning and winning, and there will be no support to go out and look at them things. And then we got to be able to break it up and bring back everything together. You talk about the teams, Eagles and Not Stars. That used to be, you know, two rivals. That was rival in Grenada. So we need to go back to that. And until then, man, we got to fight for it. And Michael and I, we are doing it on this program. We are talking about it. We talk about why Grenada didn't bid. But like you said, now it's true. Why put the money into something when you know the support is not there for it? So if the support is not there, put the money into the grassroots and let me move forward.
Roger Duncan said, I played competitive table tennis at St. John's Parish in the 1980s. Those were the days of Wayne, Waggy T. Redhead, Michael, Pakakori Duncan, Everett John, and others. I need to get back into the groove, but not too sure where I can go and what times. Can you give Roger Duncan some advice, Ray?
Well, what I can tell him, there isn't a lack of venue because we have a good group at Public Workers. It may be an old group, but I don't think we are that bad. In fact, we play 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. The membership fee is $25 a month. And Carl Felix is the treasurer. I think he'll be out for a week or two. He's one of the match referees for the West Indies Super 50. So Roger, you're free to touch base with Carl. I usually be at Public Workers in the afternoon from after 5:30, and it's a good group. The majority of us after 6 are 60 and over. So you may be too young for us, but I will show you, I assure you that we still have a lot of energy.
That's a warning. That's a warning shot. It means that
Yeah,
come prepare for a licking. And
yeah.
Roger, bring along Waggy tea with you when you come in. Your good friend Toro is saying the dismantling and disappearance of clubs and strong community organizations have worked against us. Grandans, for example, needs a PYO. Ray could serve as CEO. Ray?
Well, the first thing I want to do, I want to express my condolences to Toro and the Carnage posse and the family of Robert Code. Robert was one of our national table tennis players. In fact, when I first played for Grenada, he was on the team. In fact, he was the number one player because Dennis Thomas, who was the champion, was not available. So Sack, as we used to call him, was the top player. We played in Dominica, and Sack was a personality. I mean, we all just felt comfortable around, and it started to hear about his passing in Canada on Thursday morning. But getting back to that point about Village, look, you got to help create more German. And although I haven't gone to see him in a while, but a good example of what I am talking about, the demise of German through sickness. We have not seen under 15 or under 10. We have not seen any basketball on the Carnage. I mean, whatever one may perceive about German, but for about 20 years, he kept that junior basketball thing on the Carnage alive. Under 15, under 10, whatever the age group, there's no replacement for him. Yes, I'm saying that we could find replacement if we really want to, because I think I'm seeing people around who are willing to do it, but they need support, and sometimes too you need to make it into a job, into a contract job that you deliver so and so each year, and as a result you are rewarded. There's no the same thing I say with cricket, that you have a couple of coaches, but when the cricket season, you tasked maybe to a parish to ensure that school tournaments are held, inter-parish is completed, and there's a 6-month job or whatever period employment, and there's a reward for those who produce good players or good results. The same football is doing that now. Netball needs the same, because while I'm congratulating our girls for doing well winning the OECS, but look the measurement against Barbados.
Yeah.
Barbados tells you again that we are miles away from being beyond the OECS. So again, we need to unearth talents and not just have a one-run tournament as we've seen netball, 7 teams play each other once and that's it. We need a robust tournament where people must play a minimum of 20 matches a season. If you don't have that, I don't know how you intend to go beyond St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and Dominica.
Hazel is saying, I think we need to first identify what are the root causes of the disappearance of our community clubs or involvement. If we don't identify the root causes, then we cannot put measures in place to fix anything. And Anthony De Riggs is saying, yes, Lincoln, I remember the passion displayed when football fever raged at Springs. Ray brought up his PYO team, and they got a bag of goals.
Well, Lincoln, it's not Lincoln. Bascom, let me tell you this. He is correct, but thereafter, well, some men credit me with that. I don't know. I started, if I may say, high-end players, because after that bag of gold, at one point I had Paul Roberts saving for PYO. I had Ram playing. I had Rado playing. I had Yankee Man. I had Will Whitaker. In fact, against Springs a year, I had a national team, and they had to say, look, stop the match. These players are not registered. So after that thing, I created well, look, I mustn't be beaten that badly. But then again, we had a strong group in Granada, and Springs was strong. So the idea was to beat, they were Skylarkers. The idea you want to beat Skylarkers. And in those days, Skylarkers had Osbert Mitchell, Cafe Bowl. They had a whole list of top class players.
Top
They were
class players.
exposed to first division, and we were not in that league. We were just, as they call us, bush footballers. So we did create some stir when we brought in some of Grenada's top players, and it was like a musical chair. But then we went back down to Ghanaian players again.
Okay. Toro is saying, thanks, Ray. I can say Sak was one of my best friends. Like today, he will be calling me to talk about English football and his favorite team, Manchester United. He played for Honved in the GFA. When we tried to bring home to Carnage United, Papa Plug said Carnage had to pay a transfer fee for Sak. And that was a true reflection of Papa Plug, in truth. Yeah. And Roger is saying, Rudy, and you're correct. We got to get back the games in the village. That is where I played competitive table tennis at the Guelph Community Center and the Market Square Disco in Guelph Estate.
Yep.
All the kids came out to participate. Really fun times. Right. And you're saying that it's not difficult to revitalize those sort of community spirit, huh?
No, I don't think so. Ray Duncan. Look, if I was as versatile as you, I would have shown you some pictures Bassanio sent me from St. David's with athletics. 20, 30 people in a line learning to throw the javelin, learning to throw the shot put. And, we need to see a lot of that throughout the country. We need to see a lot of that. I went up there. I go there now and then in suggest, and what you see a group of coaches and athletes and supporters, and it's an atmosphere that I'm sure stimulates even the less talented to become the best he could be. We see a bit of that in Tantine with Albert Joseph. We see a bit of it with Ronald Charles in the stadium now and then there's Lee Stewart, I think, whatever is his name. Any case, but we're not seeing enough of that. I mean, this group in St. Andrew, Paradise, I mean, it's just a model that we need to, if we could have clone across Grenada, because that Lester Smith again does one in Tantine. In fact, if I were any part of sports and I were in charge of the coaches, each one would have to replicate Mike Lester Smith's program in Tantine. I mean, I end up there many afternoons. Young kids are being groomed, are being taught the basic of football or whatever sport. And I'm saying we need that kind of thing. It has to be, yes, everybody can get paid, but maybe you need to pay somebody to start it. Maybe you need to start that because Drummond did it on a volunteer basis and many people contributed to him. But without that, he's learned. I think we have the idea of what is happening. Whereas people used to volunteer in the past, people now have academies and so forth. And everybody seems to turn it into a job. Nothing wrong in that. But the state, the lottery. In fact, I have a serious problem with the lottery. I went to a couple basketball courts, and I'm saying that now too. I look at one in Sheeper School. They told me it has not been repaired for about 15 years or more. The iron is even rotting. I look at one somewhere in Guava again. Oh Lord, what's that place in Guava? I can't remember the name. Then there's one in by the school in Diamond, across there. That's in Victoria. And there used to be, and one in, not Pearls, no? The one in Pearls is repaired. One in Sui's area there. I mean, I'm asking the question, couldn't the lottery say, look, for the good of sport and for the good of keeping young people active, I doubt that would cost $10,000. So I usually ask them guys, some of them guys, I mean, are these people who are sitting on the board so bright that all they could see is the national team? I mean, the one in Loreto in Guelph. I mean, I'm asking those questions. I mean, it's been so for a long time. To me, it's just common sense. And if I had the resources, I would just fix it. I went there evening and I saw no one there. So I asked the guys, well, I say, well, there are no kids in the area again. You see the court, what the ring, whatever. The ring is this, the board is that. I mean, to me, we should have a workforce repairing these things constantly.
And these are basic things,
Constantly
eh?
repaired.
Basic.
Yeah,
Basic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And that's how you go fight juvenile delinquency. If the counselor call you in today, and tomorrow what is out there is the bacchanal you left. That's what you're going back to, you know. But if the counselor could put you in sports, you know, our group, to just talk about in Grand when we form it. You know how this group came about? We used to go and throw little stone on the school and thing, the church in the evening, them Legion and Mary's parents, and you throw a little stone, Hail Mary, you throw a stone, a little stone. The nuns came out and just gathered all these little boys, bring us into the convent, turn us into a group, table tennis, netball, whatever it is. And that's what I'm saying. And that went for 20 something years. So you have to have an alternative, or else you get back to what is visible. So I think we have the symptoms, but we're not prepared to treat with the symptoms. That's what I think. Because there's no way you could tell me, Mike, I think I sent you that copy. The Seagull newspaper said that the Minister of Sports said cricket brought in, of all the sports, the cricket brought in 40 million or 37 million, whatever. But it's a hefty sum. It was the greatest contributor and yachting from all the sports. Now, I don't know what is the number for us, but I'm saying it is something that we should pay attention to, because whether we like it or not, the name Kirani just resonate across Grenada. The name Anderson, same thing, Lyndon Victor. And these are people who are motivating other people to have their kids aspire to things like that. So we need to begin to find resources, and I say in contract, in the sense that you want the person to deliver and you hold them responsible for what was in the program. If the program was to have primary school cricket in the parish and then get the parish team, if they did not deliver, then you are not rewarded. But we need to do that, because if we don't do that, my friend, we just making noise. And as I tell them, let's be prepared. Fletcher is not getting younger. Fletcher is getting to the stage where he's closer to retirement than his best days.
Yeah, that's true. Rudian?
Yeah, Ray, just two questions before I have to run out. It concerning the grassroots that we talk about, and we can't say talk about it. Does that responsibility falls on the parish councils? And the other question, does a lot of the young kids today don't know a lot of Grenada heroes? Is it that they should be educated? Some of them don't even know who Junior Murray is or what he has done. Does that responsibility fall on the on sports, or does it fall on education?
Well, I think sports has a responsibility to do something, particularly the Olympic Committee. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody and I asked them if they ever heard about the name John Diabo. They said no. I said, but you know he's the father of the Olympic Committee in Grenada. They wanted to know who is he. Now, as I said to them, if there was any research or anything, you would know that he was part of resuscitating boxing during Gary Water Parade, water polo, swimming, all these things. He was from Ghana and came to Grenada, but he had a rich background in sports. Now, we were even talking about when you go into the GFA office, you see a picture of the president of FIFA, the governor general. I don't know if Marlon picture is there, but I know Cheney picture used to be there. Now, you go into the Olympic office, if you see a picture of anyone, you're lucky. Now, I'm saying to say that we are responsible as associations and as people who have been exposed to do things that would keep the names of people who have done things exceedingly well for Grenada alive. Now, somebody asked me with the independence coming up, who I think was the best minister of sport. Undoubtedly, the best minister of sports we ever had was Roy St. John. I mean, he was just clinical in everything. We have not had anyone close to him. They might have been brighter people than him, but he delivered what perhaps if you combine all the others together, you may get maybe a 5%. So again, I want to say this. We had when Kirani won that gold medal, I did an article, and some people thought it was okay. We should have, during the August holiday, the summer program, the Kirani James week. So people get the sense of what his contribution to athletics and Grenada and sports. But he too is, like everybody else, is not getting young. So just like Junior Murray became the first Grenadian to play for West Indies, it's going to be just absorbed in history and forgotten. So we need to do something. In fact, Michael, you remember the Brain of Sport?
Brain of
We
Sport,
did that
yeah.
for right.
Yeah.
We did that
I
for
know our good friend who is also watching the program, Pele Dabo, was also part of that, you know. Yeah.
Well, Pele was an integral part of that
Part
and the
of,
school debate. I usually tell people Pele Dabo got the sponsor for the
yeah.
initial secondary school debate. He was the man who got the sponsor. So again, Mike, I'm saying that we need to take that as a responsibility and make it happen every year. I mean, Dandarat. I mean, when people like me and maybe you who are a little younger go, nobody will ever imagine that Dandarat used to do women's cricket, all the sports, and work throughout the Grenada was a live wire. So again, I wrote an article last week about the grounds. Now, you from River Road, Sepi Lacrette wasn't an academic. But in his era, his long and illustrious era, Grenada was credited as one of the best groundsmen in the Caribbean for preparing wickets. I mean, the cream of the crop, the Richards and the whoever you want to call, Lloyd, they all came here. And everybody spoke in glowing terms about a Queen's Park cricket pitch. Today we had to pay a fee for 5,000 because we can't even prepare a football field. And as far as I hear, the fee may be worse, maybe bigger if Jamaica see the field as a bad thing and the inspectors agree with them. So we pay 5,000. I'm not a mathematician, but that may be about 13,000 US. And I understand we rent the park for shows for 10,000. So in other words, we have a deficit of 3,000. Now again, I'm saying next week, 2 weeks from now, we have the women's team playing. But on the same day, there's a show carded for the same place, almost the same place. I mean, yes, you're making money, but do you want that kind of distorted noise? You don't know what they're saying. To me, that's not culture. That's just a distraction. It's on Thanksgiving Day. I don't know why we're encouraging that too. I don't think we should have given the place on Thanksgiving. I think as a nation, we owe it to ourselves to be responsible. So whoever gave that place on Thanksgiving Day, I don't think we are becoming insane. So it will be interesting to see who gets the nod on the 25th when Grenada women national team plays U.S. Virgin Islands and some kind of show or party somewhere in the stadium. So I think a lot of craziness is taking place. And while we enjoying the Kirani and the Lyndon Victor and the what's the other one name Anderson, we have to think, with a sense that the image we put out there, if we charge 5,000 US for a bad ground, Mike, you and my friend Silva know better than I because you're all in the professional world. No, let's put it this way, basic. No $2 million footballer or cricketer going to come to risk his injury in Queen's Park and lose his contract. So we need to think beyond this. If we rent it to that one, we get 10,000 and we could pay our bills. But we're losing the essence of what it was built for.
Yeah. Quite a bit coming in there, Ray. Let me see. Let me just go back a bit because I know we
Michael, just before you go, I do have to run out. But Ray, it was a pleasure with you. Michael will talk again. And I will be listening on, but I just wouldn't be able to be on. So it was a pleasure with you guys today.
Okay then, Rudian. Thanks very much. All right. Yeah. Ray, Toro was saying here that Old Trafford was another thing. Sack and Butterfly lived in the same house, but Sack played for NJM United and Butterfly played for Phoenix. And Yankee Man played for NJM and I played for Phoenix. Family members were divided on who they were supporting. So they live in the same house, but they played for definitely for different teams. Tony came back and said, I will never forget the Old Trafford footballing canteen and the rivalry between Hurricanes and St. John Sports. It was not only about football, but those involved in the cottage industry got an opportunity to sell their furniture, etc. What will it take to bring back the passion and atmosphere? Good afternoon to you, Edwin, Sam, and Pele is saying the father of boxing. I think you're referring to John Diabo. And he says, agreed 100%, Manny was the best. That's Roy St. John. Your friend Chenny is saying, good afternoon, listening. Ray Roberts, the grandfather of sports journalism. And is junior league primary school football something that is still played? According to Anthony de Riggs, his question. Mayday, Roger Duncan says, we have a sports emergency. It's serious. And very interesting conversation. I must admit, I don't know 80% of the people Ray mentioned. And I guess as much Ray, that is the essence of what you're talking about. The history of our sportsmen and sportswomen. And definitely there are folks who really don't know. As you said, you mentioned some of the names. They cannot relate to them. And it's all because we do not appreciate our history. And as you can see, Ray is trying to get his way up to the library now. I think he's probably late for his table tennis assignment. And he's definitely trying to get up to library. We hope he arrives safely. But certainly, Ray has made some very interesting points there in terms of our grassroots program. Ray, if you can just unmute, I know you're driving, but if you can unmute, you might be able to speak while you are driving. But you'll have to unmute. Ray, if you hear me, you have to. Ray, you're muted. You're muted. You'll have to unmute. Yeah. No, not. You're still muted.
Yes, I'm on Bluetooth.
Yes. No, I'm hearing you now. So you can speak while you're driving, Ray. Just keep your eyes on the road.
I'm on Bluetooth. I'm on Bluetooth. I don't even have to watch the phone. So I'm listening to you on.
And I'm hearing.
You're not hearing
me? Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Just one thing before you make some comments there. Toro said, Chenny, Ray has to give credit to the JCs, Dave Mervs of Miami-Dade Community College, and Phyllis Code and the PRG. Ray?
Yeah, well, Toro, remember that famous joke in 1980 when Grenada had to go to Guyana to play this World Cup qualifying match. Phyllis said to me, look, we need to send somebody with the team. I tell her, I don't mind going, but I don't know that I want to go and do any broadcast because people like Rich Pereira and that guy who was there, Tony General in Guyana, those were some of the top Caribbean commentators. She said, well, you're in the wrong job, man. She said, well, we had to put you somewhere because if you're afraid to be among the best, the revolution is only for the best. And I remember going, and in fact, I remember at the end of the game, I was asked to stay on and do a bit more again, man. So that's where I met Reds, actually. That's the first time I met Reds. Yeah. Okay. So I would agree with him that, the revolution period is not, absolutely what you have now is total rubbish. Toro will tell you, Michaels was the news director, and there's no way you could start the news without a sports headline. You would be severely reprimanded for not coming with a decent headline. I'm not talking about foolishness that you pick up something in Europe and you plagiarize. Come with something that is local. And I remember even a bigger one that they used to have this emulation award, and Bishop came to do the emulation and thing. And I didn't think they value sports, so I went to Birch Grove and play table tennis. On the way down on the bus, I heard the man calling my name. Where is this guy? And I couldn't believe he said that he was following sports like he followed news anytime news is on, because he gets to hear about Belial and Kalalu, things that he don't hear about at all. So you get to know that these teams from the villages. So I'm saying now that when I listen to the sports, and I'm not making any excuse or having any sympathy. I think the managers and the owners are doing the greatest injustice to sports. I mean, I see Hamlet did a piece with the netball that was wonderful. Paid me no he paid, but he had somebody from Barbados doing summary on the netball team, and that's what we did. I mean, in the old days, Chenny could tell. In fact, remember he told me once that I was in St. Lucia and I wanted to do a report, and I called him and he couldn't get it ready, and I was upset or something like that. But the point I'm making here is that we need to get back to those days where we can make sports feel valuable, not 2 days after the results, three days after the results. We seem to have the information. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that managers would take more time rather than saying SAS beat Grenville Christian Academy 7-0. Give us a story. Give us something on someone who might have played well
Played
or
well,
who did something well in the match. Yeah.
Yeah. Chenny is saying our challenge with the demise of sports in Grenada has been the breakdown in community sports and club structure. Additionally, inter-community sporting events, one excitement many look forward to each week, from windball cricket to football to road races and many other sporting events. And I think the whole issue of road racing came up on a program recently, and the whole how I think it was Aaron Moses that was speaking about that some weeks ago regarding road racing, for example, the marathon and things like that. We have, Ray, that probably 10, 15 years ago, we probably had at least 2 marathons per year and a couple of half marathons, and and we're talking about a number of people participating, both men and women, and not just kids just running, but we're talking about seasoned runners, people who would have been, training for a marathon, training for a half marathon, because you'll see them on the road on afternoons, going through their sessions and prepared. We don't see those things anymore.
Well, remember they had the St. Patrick's to St. George's marathon, and my late friend
marathon,
Joseph Peterkin, and if our dear friend Raymond Roberts listening, understand he still exercises and things. He was one of those who won it many times. Donald Pierre, the whole works, Edwin Steele. Is Edwin Steele from, I think he lives in Aurora. He's a Steele. There were quite a few of them guys who I remember. I mean, they are ahead of me, but I remember following, these events. They were big. Again, as I say, Michael, we have to recognize that some of these things are going to cost us no, because we need organizers. I mean, I like Dexter Smith's spirit. Dexter Smith reminds me of things that I perhaps would not have remembered. Putting up pictures about yesteryear and names who are outstanding. I think, as I say again, the association and even the Ministry of Sport, because that's part, they should have an archive. There should be an archive. And these things, look, sometimes I ask again, what is the profile if Junior Murray is not around? We would want to credit for his achievements. We should have had a documentary done on his elevation into the West Indies cricket at a time when it was at its peak. The same thing I'm saying with football. We reach a Caribbean Cup final. There's no documented history except Chenny will try to remember and tell you what he did then. Gavin Hostin in Barbados. So James Clarkson, I mean, James, if you're listening, best wishes. But quite frankly, we need to invest in getting some, videographer or producers to do some documentary on the people who have served us well. In fact, a name that has disappeared and it only stays with me when I drive through Archibald Avenue now and then. What was his name? Was it Pablo Gittins or something like that? He they said was one of the greatest athletes Grenada ever produced.
Yes. I just forget it. His surname was Gittins. I just forget his first name. I did an interview with him many years ago before he passed away. And
that's correct.
yes, Gittins. Yeah, I know.
And he had an album.
Yeah.
I don't know what has become of the album. He died a couple of years ago, but that album, when he showed me that album, I was amazed. From the 50s come into the 60s, newspaper clippings, and you know, they had Ted Walker, who was supposed to be a great footballer, cricketer. So I'm saying that I hope, you know, the lottery and the Olympic people, the Ministry of Sport, could do more than just when Kirani win a goal, make noise for 2 days and stop. Produce some, even Kirani is that documentary on how he emerged from gun battle in golf to Albert Joseph to the coach who died, you know, his profile for Grenada. I mean, I don't know, as I say, I'm not in the top echelon of sport. I'm just a writer. But quite frankly, I don't think any of them read these things that are written, because I can't just come to terms how 12 years after, 13 years after this man win this gold medal, we have not designated a day, a period as to the Kirani James month or week, so we can go to school and talk to people about athletics and sports and what it means to Grenada, you know. So to me, things like that, I just don't understand how ministers of sports and presidents of the big associations ignore these things.
Let me just wrap up, Ray, with some comments from Pele saying, Ray, don't forget the sports report on Saturdays and stringers from different locations and venues throughout the island. Chenny says Steve Hall, Peter Kane, Morris Bull Williams, George Phillip, a former police officer, were some of the known roadrunners. Richard Mona, he's saying, good afternoon, Mike. Tell Ray I said hello. That's Richard Mona from, Richard from the Carnage. Carnage famous. And Pele said, who remembers the first MVP of the Shell Caribbean Cup? Steve Mark. So certainly some things that we can ponder on. Kirani, to me, needs some management where corporate is concerned, because not even him tells his own story. But September 1st is Kirani Day, Ray. Yeah, we do know that, but I think it's a bigger picture Ray is trying to paint regarding the whole, edification of Grenadians about Kirani James and what it meant for Grenada, and not just him winning a goal, but how it opened the eyes to many in terms of Grenada. How many, when Kirani goes around the world now, the sports fans can relate. His name is called. You hear the big chair. They can relate to him, and all that. They know about Grenada. These sort of things. So I think it's more an appreciation in Grenada of what that means. Yeah, Ray, some passing comments from you, Ray?
Well, you mentioned
technology, Ray. I think someone is trying to call you in. Yeah, I think someone is trying to call in Ray at the same time. He will just get so that means Ray, what you were saying now? We will deal with that, and then after we'll get back to him to hear his final comments. I think someone is trying to get hold of him.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Ray. Yes, some final comments.
Yes, yes. I would say to you that Kenny mentioned some athletes there. I would want to add to it that there are some guys from Grenville, the Noels, and the one that was the meteorologist. These guys were a group.
Yeah, I know the one
that we are not.
Yeah, the meteorologist with the long hair, right? Yeah.
They were there. William Wilberforce and a few of them. All I would say, Mike, I hope that Right. I would hope that our administrators, right. I would hope our administrators some more emphasis to some of the basic things we talk about. It may seem simple, but it's in fact fundamental to unearthing a future generation of quality athletes.
Yeah. Oh, Salami, I think was the person, as Richard is saying, Mona is
All
saying
right.
Salami. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate. I know you probably close to the library community indoor center now, and I want to wish you all the best. I don't know if you'll be playing. I know you said you were giving support. I don't know if you'll be playing. We may just have a delay, I think. So Ray may respond in a while. Yes, David Robinson. David Robinson was the name of the guy, I think, from as they were yeah, David Robinson, yes. David Robinson was the one of the guys from the road running, right? And you had Ford from Guelph, a top marathon runner. Yes, and there was Callistus Bonaparte from Victoria in St. Mark's. Yeah, quite a few of these guys. And I think Chenny says the Felix brothers, also from, I think he meant was St. Andrew, was one of the called Mathan. Yeah, I think he said, sorry, St. Andrews. Yeah, the Felix brothers. So there were quite a few of those road running guys, marathon runners, long distance runners, as we'll say, from yesteryear. And it's a pity that we have not seen that in recent times, even though on a yearly basis, we have seen what is now known as the cross country, right? We have the secondary schools cross country. And I think this weekend is the start. In fact, today, yeah, 3 o'clock, in probably in an hour's time, we should see the start of the first in the cross country events for 2023. They call it the National Cross Country, let me see, 7th of October in St. Andrew. The Ministry of Sports expecting athletes from across the island to converge at the Telescope playing field for the start of preliminary races in the championship, where 4 races will be held. Buses, would have left the various points around 1 o'clock for the athletes to gather for the commencement of the first race from 3 o'clock. Age category and distances, we have the 3K on the 15, female, male and female. Then you have a 4K on the 17, male and female, and a 4K 17 plus, male and female. And then they move next weekend to La Sagesse, followed by Tantine on the 21st. So for those who have interest in cross country, so if you missed out this weekend, then there is La Sagesse next weekend and the following weekend at Tantine or the Roy St. John playing field. Yeah, Anthony, right. That's the name I was looking for. Anthony Dog Charles. Anthony Dog Charles. That was the name. That was one of those guys who, thank you, Angus, one of those guys who used to be winning for many years. You know, everyone had a period of time, and I know Dog Charles had his period. Anthony Dog Charles from St. Patrick, yeah, he had a period where he was unbeaten on the road. And, you know, you look out for your marathon on a Sunday, on a particular, whichever month it used to be. And it's from St. Patrick, from, I think, Yusuf Start or Sutter's police station or somewhere there, and then it goes all the way down. Sometimes they will end what is now by the National Insurance Scheme. It used to be the Esplanade area there. Or sometimes they go to the fire station, Central Police Station or main fire station on the Carnage. It depends, you know, where they start, where they end. Okay, but you still look out for that marathon. And people like, as Ray said, the late Dandarat, for example, was involved, and we have Checkley and all these guys used to be there. Yes, he dominated long distance running for a while. Another name, thanks Angus, Sebastian Simon. Yes, Pele did say that that's referring to Dog Charles dominated long distance track running. But hopefully, we heard a lot about community sports, grassroots, and we're hoping that with these new initiatives in terms of the parish sports councils and blah blah blah, that we'll see some of these things, returning. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. Yes, it can be sanctioned by the athletic association, but groups and organizations can, host or stage these half marathon, long distance, marathon and things like that. A group can decide that, hey, we want to host a marathon, and they can get it sanctioned by the athletic association, so that they'll ensure that the in terms of the coverage, the miles, because if you want the results to be credited and accredited and things like that, it needs to be sanctioned. They'll have to do, everything accordingly. And and you can probably get the support of the Athletics Association, because they have personnel who can adjudicate and who can officiate and be officials for these things. The Milo Marathon was a fixture on the athletic calendar. So that was the name, the Milo Marathon, fixture on the athletic calendar. We have the half marathon, or it's a half marathon or a 10K, whatever. But I know they used to have a half marathon from St. David into St. George's, a half marathon. But hey, there's no reason why we can't have some of these long distance races again, and it can be one parish into another. Let's say St. Patrick into St. Andrew, vice versa. St. Patrick into Victoria, or even into Guelph. Depends. Doesn't necessarily always have to be into St. George's. You can get your route and figure out where you want it to start, where you want it to end, and get your sponsorship, get your participants, and you can make it into a very exciting and annual affair. Evelyn Pitt, Ulrich School, is saying, Evelyn Pitt from La Digue. Yes, St. Andrew also had a number of long distance runners as well. Well, I can tell you that there are a number of long distance runners, and most of the established ones came from either St. Andrew or St. Patrick at one point in time. We had the few like Donald Pear and others that actually came from, the St. John's area. We had a couple from St. Mark's, but I think most of our distance runners actually came from the outer parishes, particularly St. Patrick and St. Andrew. Their long distance runners had dominated long distance running in Grenada for a period of time. And even when we went into, secondary schools, for example, the distance running, we've seen most of the athletes coming from the outer parishes who are dominating the track events, the long distance on the track. How about Pele, Ray, Chenny, and Michael, and others like Ulrich School form a group and get these grassroots back up and running? Okay, I'll ask Pele and Ray and Chenny and Ulrich to talk about that. Yeah, Mike, I did join late today. Did we mention the passing of a great wharf man, Robert Sack Dakota? His condolences to his family and friends. Yes, we did. Ray spoke about him, and Toro also spoke about him. The late Sack, and also to add that Toro also, the deputy, also lost one of their own. Toro lost his brother as well. We expressed condolences to not just his friend, but also his brother, his family member. Condolences to the deputy family as well. Folks, that's all for this week. Hopefully, we'll have another program on next Saturday, which is the 14th. I can tell you now that we will not have a program on the 21st. It's a weekend off for our program. So, and then we'll rejoin on the 28th of October. So we have another program next weekend. We'll skip on the 21st. We have an engagement on the 21st of October, and then we'll resume on the 28th. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. It was a pleasure being with you. For all of those who had chime in with their comments, and if you have joined us lately, you can always check the recording on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you have your social media stream. For those who are following World Cup cricket, remember, it was South Africa against Sri Lanka, and it was a whirlwind, wow, 400 plus runs. That's a world record. Remember that. The last you have 400 plus runs being scored in 50 overs with 5 wickets. We had about 2 centurions, 2 or 3 centurions, and some solid scores from the others. That was important. Let me see some final comments before I pack it away. Okay. Thanks very much, Lakeisha Roberts and Edwin, Ohio State University. What is happening to Ohio State University? I know there's a showdown this weekend as well. Some good games on. But as you maybe have been monitoring the news, seeing that our networks are now bombarded with coverage of the situation in Israel and Gaza. Certainly that has shifted the momentum in terms of the news cycle for today. But certainly that won't shift those who have been following sports, especially college football, and then there's Premier League football on, and then NFL come to tomorrow, God's willing. Thank you very much, folks, for being part of the program. Hopefully you can join us come next Saturday, same time at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.